Not many games have the ability to make the jump from 2D to 3D, and even fewer games have the ability to execute that jump precisely. Risk of Rain 1 is one of the first roguelike titles I ever played. I fell in love with its ability to keep pushing me to try for a better attempt, to try different characters and items until I found something that clicked. Risk of Rain 2 is no different. This sequel takes and expands upon everything the first game, all in a brand new 3D environment. I was admittedly hesitant at first when the game was announced to be going 3D, but fortunately those fears were put out and replaced by a fire that burned to play more and more. Risk of Rain 2 is classified as a roguelike third-person shooter, but those are ultimately subgenres to the main category, time management. See, as more and more time goes on, the levels only get increasingly harder. If you take too long in one stage, you're going to have an incredibly hard time catching up and rebalancing the timer. Time management is going to be your biggest enemy, but also your best friend. You have the option to choose to spend some extra time in a level to grab a few chests and hunt down whatever loot you can, but if the items aren't worth the time payoff, you'll just have to play catch up that much harder and that much faster. On the flip side, if you choose to collect very little items and continue on, sure, the enemies and bosses are going to be easier, but your lack of items is really going to hinder you. Oh, you've got 3 items, and they're all firework bundles? Just hit the button, dude. This aspect of the game is a driving force in its appeal for me personally, and I love the difficulty that it adds to the game, especially when Risk of Rain 2 is already bedrock hard. It is incredibly easy to find yourself overwhelmed by too many enemies or too strong of an enemy at virtually any point during the run. Even with the best of gear, if you get put up against one too many of these guys, you are fucking done. You'll certainly find yourself dealing with enemies easier as time goes on, but no matter what, I recommend keeping your guard up and being ready for anything. Enemies like the brass contraptions and elder Lemurians are going to be your biggest threat, no doubt. They aren't super tough to deal with, but it's very likely one of these stupid lizards is just going to one-shot you with their fire. Speaking of fire, what the hell is it about it that makes it so incredibly powerful? It feels like it doesn't matter how strong you are, if you glance or step on the fire wrong, you just melt right then and there. I decided to test for myself to see how accurate this was. You know, pretty accurate. But to handle all of these powerful foes and the loss of an uninsured home, as I've mentioned, you're gonna need some gear to combat all of this. Risk of Rain 2 gives you a pool of items in which you'll randomly get one from a specific color category. White is common, green is uncommon, red is legendary, yellow is boss items, blue is lunar, and orange is equipment. Yellow's items are all decent, I don't really have much to complain about there. I've never used a lunar item, I'm not gonna act like I even know what the hell they do. And as far as equipment goes, my personal favorite is the Royal Capacitor. That lightning bolt is way too powerful and fun to pass up. For the other colors, I've taken the liberty of choosing a few of my favorites and least favorites for each color category. For obvious reasons, white is going to have some of the weakest items you'll acquire in the game, but it's also going to have some of the best ones you find. My least favorites are the War Banner, the Bundle of Fireworks, and the Monster Tooth. For my favorites, they're the Lensmaker Glasses, Soldier's Syringe, and Paul's Goat Hoof. I chose these 3 as my least favorites because they don't benefit me very much during a run. There are better healing items than the Monster Tooth, and the other 2 are pretty situational. These ones are my favorites because the glasses provide a crit chance which pairs well with many other items, and the other 2 provide speed buffs to attacks and movement respectively, and I am a sucker for that. Green doesn't have many bad items, but for my least favorites I chose the Chrono Bauble and Gore's Tome, and for favorites I chose the Fire Band and the Wax Quail. I don't find the Chrono Bauble or Gore's Tome to be useful enough to actively use them, and on the other side the Fire Band procs a very powerful Fire Tornado, and the Wax Quail just lets you kind of jump around a little bit. It's fun. Red has the best items in the game, and it's hard to pick a bad one, but if I had to choose, I'd probably pick the Alien Head, mostly because I haven't gotten the chance to use it, and I think I've got to pick the Afterburner for my favorite red item. That thing is way too useful with the extra skill charges it adds. Alright, that concludes my items tier list. Thank you all for coming. Please exit to your left. Please make sure to throw all your empty beverages and snacks in my home, aka the trash. Risk of Rain 2 features a cast of characters that is certain to have something just for you. If you like setting up turrets to do most of your damage, there's the Engineer. Maybe you want to be a little bit of a glass cannon in the form of the Huntress. Or you love moving as fast as a dry snail on carpet, so you pick Rex. Perhaps you like getting in close with strong melee attacks, so you pick Loader. Or maybe you want to go swing around the map like Spider-Man, so you pick Loader. I think you might like Loader. You should pick Loader. I am an absolute sucker for good movement in video games, and Loader has just that. Equipped with a high-powered charge gauntlet that will decimate practically any enemy in your way and send you through the air, a grapple hook that you can stick to the environment, enemies, friends, basically anything. Yeah, I don't think Mole T can swing through the air now, can they? In my time with Risk of Rain 2, I started out as Commando like everyone else, but once I unlocked the Mercenary, I immediately switched over. He's another character with a focus on moving around as quick as you can, dealing swift damage, but the damage I was dealing didn't feel like a good enough payoff when I considered the damage I was taking, and that's when Loader walked into my life. So having only played 3 characters, that's like 1, 2, 2, 3. That's like 80% of the roster. But that's the beauty about Risk of Rain 2, where I am a sack of shit, and I enjoy playing essentially only one character. You can watch how your friends play the game or how other streamers play the game. Everyone's got their own way to do whatever they want to do. If you want to switch up your character every run, you can totally do that. I'm gonna stay on loader. So let's say you take all the information I've given you. You've conquered the time management system, gotten your favorite items, and are playing your favorite character. What else stands in your way? Well, not much, just a moon god with an agenda. If you're looking for a challenge, it's fighting this guy, otherwise known as Mithrix, King of Nothing. Jeez, what a stupid name. His patterns are fairly easy to read, but if you get damaged by him, you either A, get one shot, or B, get almost one shot. The fight consists of multiple phases where you'll be taking on not only Mithrix himself, who's only getting stronger as time goes on, but several endgame enemies that deal high damage and can just as easily mean the end of your run. It took me and my squad several attempts before we even made it to the final phase, but it was so much fun to make it further each and every time. Every attempt you go in with just a little bit more intel to help you prepare for his coming attacks. But no matter what knowledge you go in with, you still have to be on your A game. No, in fact, you have to be beyond your A game. If you get caught for even a sliver of a second versus this guy, it could mean immediate death. But the fight is so rewarding, and the accomplishment of beating Mithrix is something I will not ever forget. So many attempts, so many loader lives lost, so many times I said, guys, this is the run, only for it to be most definitely not the run. If you're thinking about buying Risk of Rain 2, I cannot recommend it enough. Hey, thanks for coming once again, everybody. Hope you enjoyed watching. Please like or subscribe if you feel like you kinda wanna. Please join me tomorrow at 7 p.m. where I'll be starring in a play called Who Put This Knife in My Chest?